Hey everyone, welcome to FMA Talk Live. I'm your host, Dr. Tim, and my phenomenal co-host.
PG Ties here. Welcome everyone.
Yeah, so we've taken a week off. We both were traveling actually. You were out visiting family and other such things.
I actually last two it was week. The week before that was family. This last week was just work.
Okay, and then I did the Florida State Arnis camp, and then stayed for the Maya conference, which was really cool because the Maya Elite conference. Not only was I in the yearbook, I was in the their handout, and I was one of the featured success stories. I was the first featured success story, one of six. I got to find out where the debacle was. They've got my wrong middle initial, and they got the school starting date off by a decade. But the thing is, they didn't have to feature me at all, and they chose to. So that was really cool. So we have our guest in on the waiting in the wings here, and I'm seeing him right now. I just want a quick little rant. Well, actually, we're working with technology. Did you find what I was talking about?
No, I'll check in.
Yeah. So evidently, in our settings, everybody with StreamYard, there's a couple new functions, and I can actually share that. You can share this on your own social media feeds and YouTube channels and stuff of that nature, which is really cool. So I just saw these updates today, and I didn't get a chance to go through them or not. But I think if you go through your settings button, that'll be able to do it. Okay. So, and already we've got two people saying hello. Eric from Portland, obviously he's blown off the gym, and Mr. Wolf, who I'm teaching at his school this Saturday.
PG Sam, welcome.
PG Sam. So, there's been a lot of things going on as of late. I'm not going to comment on a few of the things here, but the one thing that's come up, and what have you done for me lately? So a couple of people got into it on the internet, go figure. And during some private dialogue, some people told me some stuff, and I let it slide. But the comment was, well, I've done this and I've done that. I go, and in the back of my mind is, but that was decades ago. What have you done now? So when people contribute here, the one thing here is I want to sit there. I go, our predecessors, the pioneers, which we all are for our own eras, but our predecessors' accomplishments don't take anything away from ours. I'll say, well, I was the first to do this. Okay, that's great. That's something you did 30, 40 years ago. What have you done since? And if that's the only thing you've done, and like, I'm the first person to ever teach a Filipino martial arts seminar in Iceland. Okay. Now, that won't take away from someone doing the first Filipino martial arts seminar somewhere else, or continued or even bigger seminars in Iceland. But the thing here is I was the first. But that's not my own accomplishment. I keep striving to move forward and contribute to our art and our community. So, I can sit there and say I was the first one to do a Facebook Live seminar years before COVID. I did virtual seminars via Facebook, free for the community. All right. I was the first one that I know of to do any seminar, definitely the first FMA seminar. Did it a couple of years in a row. Why? Paying it forward to the community. All right. That was then. What am I doing now? That was then. This is now. I think that's a book. But that's my thing. And, the show has a lot of rants. Anything you want to throw out there before we bring our guest on?
I got no rant except for I'm in a weird mood. So hopefully that'll be amusing, if not, and nothing worse.
Well, let's do the seminar announcements because there's two. Mine is this weekend, April 1st, Mount Gilead, Ohio. Mm-hmm. PG Wolf is one of our Praces school. Okay. Not a Taekwondo school, Cry school. It's a Praces school. Okay. And he's hosting me there. We're going to be doing spear. We're going to be doing staff. Well, spear and staff, the same thing. A few other things here and there. And then the weekend after, Easter weekend, Holy Saturday, you've got a gig going on, don't you?
Yep, April 8th, Saturday, all day in the park. The 9th iteration of the Spring FMA thing.
There you go.
With all the local FMAers from different styles and lineages, sharing and playing and just enjoying each other.
I'm not sure if that went up on the WMA website or not. I definitely think we put it on the Facebook pages and stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely on the Facebook group and page.
Also, for those who are looking for DatuHartman.com, it has now been shifted to my bio on WMRNIS. It's just easier for me to maintain one thing. So that's what's coming up this coming weekend. And Frank Shakowski says hello, along with, wait for it, Dexter James.
Nice.
All right, listen, I'm going to bring our guest on. I met his people. Well, actually, I'm just going to pull him on. I'm going to start talking. Grandmaster Carlos, how are we doing?
Good evening, everybody. My own Gub E. To all of you guys, it's great to be here. Thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity to be with you guys.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
Nice to have you. Yep.
So I don't have the dates. It's funny how the world is small and getting smaller all the time. So Grandmaster Carlos is the U.S. director of WEKAF, if I'm not mistaken. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir. USA president for WEKAF.
Okay, so my question to you is, when did GSBA do their first tournament in Vegas?
26. Was it 2016?
Okay, the reason why I ask him about that, and oh, look at that. There's your website. Look at that, right on the bottom of your name. I wonder who put that there. There's a lot of new technology we're trying to get dialed in on with the website and stuff. So I was doing FMA Talk back then because I had the discussion board, and I was doing live videos with my camera. And which team did I happen to do a video on? Kick Connection. So that was, you said 2016 we're thinking?
Well, I wasn't there because I was in the WEKAF one,
right,
in the Philippines. So I had a team there. I had two teams, one GSBA and one for the WEKAF.
So I went to Vegas because, well, it was Vegas. I'm not a Vegas guy, but it just happened to work out. And Carl Outram was with me. So we went to the GSBA event, and lo and behold, I happened to interview one of the teams. One of the teams happened to be Kick Connection, GM Carlos's team. And the person I was talking to back then, one of the people, is now one of the senior instructors in GM Carlos's school, which I think is just phenomenal how just everything comes around full circle. I was going, okay, so for those who don't know, maybe 2013 or 2014, something like that. I'm looking at their website.
Maybe.
I'm going to go look at some more stuff while I'm talking. So I'm a student of Bondo at Dr. Mungji. They were doing, I think it was 60 years, honoring him for 60 years of his dedication to the martial arts. And where was this event being held? Glen Burnie, Maryland. So you know who lives in Glen Burnie, Maryland? GM Carlos.
Actually,
so I had some time.
But in Maryland, yeah.
Or I'm saying, what did I say? Maryland.
I live in Arnold, but
you live there. But the schools in Glen Burnie. Now there's a couple schools there. We can talk about a few of them. But the funny thing is, I've been there before. Matter of fact, you, PG Tye, met Carlos's sister.
Oh, yeah.
When his father was getting the Hall of Fame award. We're up in Atlantic City. And Maria was there and we met there. I went down to the school, and so I had messaged her. I go, hey, I'm going to be in Glen Burnie for this. What, are you going to be in town? No, I'm going to be in Jerusalem. Oh, okay, no problem. So then I happened to look up Kick Connection. I know about Kick Connection. And the funny thing was, she never even mentioned that you were related to her. I was like, so I walked in and we introduced ourselves. We start talking. I'm like, yeah, I know a school around here. Golden Dragons. You mean my sister Maria? Like, what, you're all Filipinos? No. Literally, that's my sister. Nice. Oh. Small world getting smaller all the time.
Definitely.
So then they invited me down. I back to be part of their black belt grading, and I got to see the school phenomenon. Here's so this is one of the things I like talking about. So it is not an FMA school first. It is a Taekwondo school. But GM Carlos, please tell us how many people, men and women, do you have doing your Doce Pares program in your school?
So I have a total of 400 students active in Eskrima, in Taekwondo. And out of the 400, about 100 are Escrimadors and
A
Escrimadores.
quarter of them.
Wow.
And when I stopped in the class unannounced, they weren't just doing sticks only. They were doing open hand combatives from Filipino martial arts. So they weren't treating it as it's weapon only. When I sat on the testing board, they're doing sparring, as we'll refer to as Patalinghug sparring in my club or whatever. They're doing leg kicks and all this other stuff that is definitely not done in Taekwondo. So a quarter of his students do FMA as well.
That's great. Yep.
So 100 there's people that are hoping to have 10 students of FMA, let alone 100 students of FMA. Now, granted, when you've got a Taekwondo school, it's easier to offer enrichment programs and other programs to recruit people. But the fact of the matter here is, this is a guy who's teaching Filipino martial arts. It's a big part of his culture. It's not just like a side dish. This is who he is. And he's promoting Filipino martial arts, which just goes back to the FMA professionals I talk about. Or more importantly, we need to get the F out. We're martial artists, and Filipino things are what we specialize in. So we don't have to use, because when I say get the F out, the problem is when we talk about Filipino martial artists, all the Filipino martial artists that I talk to, it seems, well, we can't have a big school because we're Filipino martial artists. Bullshit. We're martial artists who specialize in Filipino techniques. Right. Stop with this. We can't do it because we're Filipino martial artists. I'll tell you, you can't do it because you don't want to, you're scared to, or you're not willing to get the education to pull this stuff off. Right. If you were to quit teaching Taekwondo, if you were to transition your school to FMA full time, do you think you can make that happen?
I could, of course.
There we go. Boom. Boom. This is a big thing I'm all about. So Rich Parsons says hello from Detroit.
Hello.
Well, here we go. Let's go. So Portland, Oregon, Ohio. Where's Dexter? Dexter, are you in New York City? I don't know. Frank Schakowski's Connecticut. Rich Parsons saying hello from Flint, Michigan, north of Detroit. Jason Arnold from London, Ontario. And we've got Darren from the Philadelphia area. And Steve, I don't know. Glad to have you back. I'm not sure where Steve is from at the moment. So we get people from around the world. We'll get some from people from Manila saying hello every now and then. So don't be surprised if you see a face or a name that you recognize.
Got it.
So I want to talk about WEKAF, but I want to talk about you too. Oh, Uniontown, Pennsylvania. There we go. Okay. So and this family is amazing because I actually got this. So the family that kicks and sticks together sticks together.
Nice.
Because all of his kids are black belts, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. In Eskrima and Taekwondo.
And they're a part of a music group, which if you like the show and you'd like to have them on the show, we'd love to have them. No pressure there. But I got to see two of the boys go. One of the ladies, she had a anklet on, or a ankle brace. I guess her leg was jacked up during the time. I was watching her on the side, and then I think one of your daughters was reading for your one student.
Yes, it was deaf.
So she has a deaf student, and so many of them sign in the school, which is great. I'm jealous of that.
That's the world champion, also 2-time world champion.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Magaling.
Oh, they are. She is.
Yeah. But these it was good to watch them go because and it's funny too because I also got to see the showmanship because you could see when they were doing their bangkao, their spear form. There was a lot of showmanship going on in there, and I like that. I mean, I did music when I was in school and performing arts. It was my passion, but I could never make it my profession. Martial arts ended up being that, and a lot of the skills transfer over. But I really like the showmanship. And then I gave one of your sons a hard time with Jagma?
Manjo.
Manjo. Yeah, Manjo.
It's Emmanuel
Because he
Joseph.
kept looking in the mirror, but
Okay.
yeah. But so here we go. D-Man from Ottawa, Canada. There we go.
We got a couple other Terrells, Grandmaster Terrell.
Oh, I didn't see him slide in there.
Yep.
Okay, here we go. And then Hudson Valley, 100 miles away from New York City. Yep.
Okay.
We got people all over the place here. So they all came to hang out with us and talk to our new friend here. So let's get a quick background on our friend here.
Yeah.
And then we can go into WEKAF, because I want to talk about quickly what did you guys, pre-COVID, what happened during COVID, what's coming after it. I mean, I don't want to listen, and it's not one of these things of that we have to sit there forever talking about COVID, but I want to know how people dealt with it, so we can learn for future things here. But let me see here. There's a couple reasons why I like Carlos. One, he's our age, literally. We're all three of us are the same age, which is great.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We're all 25.
That's right.
That's right.
So are you a Taurus, by the way?
I am. April 24th, next month, is my birthday.
May 7th, brother. May
That's
7th.
what's up.
I've got some things here. So he's a 7th Dan in ITF Taekwondo.
Nice.
9th degree Grandmaster in Kakoi, Dosei Paris, Kakoi branch, which we love. We love Kakoi. I wish I met the other branches of Dosei Paris. He's the only really. I mean, I met Kakoi's brand. I mean, and is Don Cuesta through the Kakoi's lineage?
No, he's
Oh, well, then I did see both lineages then. Okay, I'm okay. I met Kakoi through Don Cuesta brought Kakoi to a Doug Pierce seminar with Remy. So that was the first. And then I saw him in Pittsburgh with he was teaching with Zach Whitson. But so you studied with Kakoi Kinyete, Juni Kinyete, Don Cuesta. You've done a little with Tuan Chris Sayak, Master Fred Ocampo, and a little with Edgar Salute.
Yeah. A Mako system.
Now that's, and then there's your Taekwondo, did you work with General Choi?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
Well,
and then Grandmaster Fabian Nunez.
Yes, who's the president of our ITF America right now.
And then once again, Master Fred Ocampo. So one of the things that I think is special for me about GM Carlos, he learned it over here.
Okay.
He's not is he a transplant as a person? Yes. But not as a martial artist. He learned the craft here. So Terrell, Terrell Richardson asked me a couple weeks ago, I should do America House because there's Russia House, but Russia House is not for Russian it's Russians promoting Filipino martial arts. But he goes, this is what I got to do. I got to stop saying things because people will call me on it. So I said time and time again, I've said that if you want the top tier instructors, you don't have to go to the Philippines. Most of them are here already. And a lot of them are non-Filipinos or people who are Westerners who may be of Filipino descent, but learned it in America. And which GM Carlos did. Well, America House is not going to be America. It's going to be the Can-Am's FMA Can-Am Summit number 3 or 4 I'm going to be doing. And that one's going to be themed about North American bred Filipino martial artists. So I've already asked GM Carlos, but we have to work around his schedule when it comes to WEKAF, and he can tell us about his music career or his family's music career, because that's a thing as well. So, Ty, why don't you ask some questions while I'm doing some stuff here?
Sure. Yeah, no, that's good. Actually, with going over the background, I thought that was very interesting, and hopefully people found it as interesting as I was. But I'm wondering, that's a lot of exposure, a lot of material, a lot of time, a lot of hard work. 2 things. One, when was the start? So how many years have you been an active martial artist? Because that's...
Well, I started when I was actually 12 years old.
Okay.
When I first came to this country, I was what do you call this? A mommy's boy. I couldn't speak a word English.
Okay.
And I got bullied, of course. And guess who was there to save me? my sister,
Okay.
Marie. So she beat up all the bullies. And finally, she kept getting called into the principal's office.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, Carlos, I can't stop protecting you. So she threw me in the ground, started slapping me a little bit. And then finally, she goes, you need to protect yourself. So I went to the library and I saw this book. It looked like marital arts, but I guess it was martial arts.
Right.
So I opened this book. It was like as if the book called me. And then I started seeing all these different forms of martial art. I never knew anything, right?
Hmm.
So I went to this party, and there was this guy that looked like Bruce Lee. No lie, he's a good friend of mine. He's my brother. He's like my martial art brother. His name is Victor Batong. And then I saw him kicking, and I said, "Man, this guy looks like Bruce Lee." So I go up to him, and I said, "Take me to your master." And then he introduced me to Master Fred Ocampo. All right, and he was teaching Taekwondo and Eskrima under the Sayuk Pikiti Tersha, actually Leo Gaye, and then who was part of again Chris Sayo. So at the age of 12, that's when I started taking martial arts. And as soon as I walked in the door, I knew that was my calling. You know, when you walk in, you smell that sweat, and that odor of martial arts school, and I'm like, this is my place, and that's when I knew that was my calling. So I did martial arts with him, and then slowly, when you know that's where you belong, you start to do well in that. So I was Master Fred's first Grand Master. I was his first Grand Champion winner in these tournaments. So then I knew I was called to that, and slowly, when I did a demonstration when President Marcos came, and that's when Kakoi was also when Kakoi came. So I did this demonstration in front of President Marcos. And they thought I was pulled from the Philippine team to represent. And I was like, no, there's a guy from Maryland. So, and people were like, where's this guy from? So they realized that's when Kakoi came to me. It's like, you should learn Dos Pares. I'm like, okay, I'm learning Pikitisa, but why should I learn Dos Pares? He said, because we're related. I'm like, oh, okay. So the Patalinghugs and the Kenyatis are distant relatives.
Oh, okay.
And I said, you know what? Fine. I didn't know Kakwe. I didn't know Dos Pares at all back then. And so that's when I was introduced. Little Kakwe introduced me to Don Cuesta. He had a school in New Jersey. So I would go back and forth, drive every weekend, and stay at this place and learn Dos Pares. And then from that's when I started getting more into the system of Dos Pares. But yeah, I mean, till now, and I practiced both Kapoy style and multi-system Johnny style because, they're related. So I can't just focus my energy in one because at that back then, before, they were still alive, you had all that bickering,
Right.
just like, yeah, as you guys know. And so I couldn't, go to this and then favor that. So I was like, okay, I'll do this. I'll, go here. I'll support Uncle Johnny with the tournaments WEKAF, and I'll support Little Kakoy with his system. So at the end of the day, we're all Dos Pares.
Okay.
So that's the thing that like we talk about Pikiti Tersha and Taekwondo. There's all these different Kwans and all these different Pikiti Tersha groups, but they're united in name. Whether you're not for good branding, I mean, for us, not us. I know a little, but for the person who's not who's for the average Tom, Dick, and Harry, most people wouldn't know there's a difference between both Dos Pares. You would just say, oh, it's Dos Pares. It's like they're all the same Taekwondo. Well, actually, there's different Kwans and stuff like that. But for the connoisseur, we would know. But the name branding, I mean, okay, let's say you got 10 schools of Kakoy and 10 schools of multi-style. Guess what? That's 20 schools using Dos Pares. At the end of the day, it's huge. I don't really want to read this guy's opponent's comment today. Or we've got a stalker. I'll let you. Well, actually, first of all, we'll do. Looking forward to America House. There we go. See you on the 8th.
Yes.
This is for you, Ty. You get to read him today.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, our friend.
Start like the wind.
This one's fine. Guys, have any tips on floor trim? I tried carpet double-sided tape, just did not work. Tried Rust-Oleum paint, didn't work. I have zebra mats.
Okay.
Thank you. I don't have any idea. I train on asphalt.
Yeah. Okay. He usually has a lot of comments that are
those are
funny.
coming.
Yeah,
those are coming, right?
I'm waiting for Renee because I made a live announcement today, and I'm expecting him to be hopping on, but he hasn't done it yet.
Well, I appreciate what you said a second ago too, Jim Carlos. The idea of you liking the Paquita Tertia and those related things, and liking the Doce Pares, as well as your commitment to Taekwondo. I think there's room in our hearts, right? It just actually helps, enjoying all of those. There's plenty of room for that. Plus, in some sense, it helps you appreciate what you have and what the others have, and so now you come out ahead. There's even more to love.
Well, honestly, the ITF style Taekwondo has taught me how to teach because they're very, 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 very detailed.
Yes.
To a point where it's very scientific in sense of like angling of positions. So for example, they're so detailed that, if the back foot is not 15 degrees, if the front foot is not 15 degrees, and if your chest is at half facing, then when you do your patterns or your style or whatever, then you get deductions. So by being analytical and very, very specific, I've implemented that in my style of teaching Eskrima, because as you guys know, when you go to the Philippines or grandmasters, they say, teach me this. Okay, they teach you that. And he's like, here's another one. No, teach me the first one. Then next you're teaching of 50 ones. But like, no, I just need the fundamental. Right. Teach me the basics and the basic concept, Right. And then the angling, so that's one thing that I really appreciate that Taekwondo taught me, is to be very detailed. And so, Dr. Tim, when you saw them do their sayo, everything was precision from the angle of the foot to...
I should have videoed it. I really should have videoed. I'm kicking myself in the butt for not doing it. It was nice because listen, the thing that we always like about what I've had a bunch of Filipino martial artists, every now and then they stop by a karate or Taekwondo school and they watch them and they like, look at that, they're so in sync. Now, when you watch the Doce Pares forms, they're all over the place. I mean, like, they're flowing nonstop. My goodness, there was 10 people in sync with each other the whole time. And it's like a kung fu form where there's not these rigid stops, so it's really hard to keep everyone in. See, I look at karate and Taekwondo. It is so much easier to keep people together because it is a syncopated thing. There's not this legato type flow to it. It's very staccato, choppy, bump, 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 maybe a flurry of something. 1, 2, 3, look, and to see a group of Filipino martial artists doing it together makes me like, wow, look, they actually know a form. It's not being made up.
Yeah.
That's another story there.
Well, this is good. Now one of my top students is ITF. I think he's second degree. He came to me decades ago, actually. And he still practices his material. I should actually introduce you guys if we can get around.
Yes.
Pretty good.
Yes.
It was, oh my God, it was so nice. I mean, and everyone was dressed, once again, uniforms. And uniforms could be simple as a matching T-shirt, which they had really cool matching T-shirts. But I mean, it doesn't have. I mean, but they had the Doce Pares uniforms. Actually, depending on the belt, they do sashes versus a belt like we did. Actually, I thought your daughter was wearing her pants inside out until I realized it's her sash and it flipped over, and I saw the back of the embroidery. I'm like, I was gonna go over it at the end of the test.
That was my daughter.
That wasn't your daughter?
No. That was my.
Not a black sash.
Well, she is, but are you asking me if she was one of the ones that's doing the testing?
No, the one sitting on the side.
Oh, okay, correct. Yeah.
So I'm watching her, and I'm like, I was just about to sit there and say, why are you wearing your pants inside out? Well, because they were wearing black pants, I didn't realize it was a black sash, and the slash flipped over. But everybody matched. It looked like, wait for it, a team. And people like being part of the team. When you go to a professional sporting event, what do a lot of people do? They buy the jerseys because they all want to be part of the team. Once again, yes, me shoving it down your throat. Uniforms go a long way.
I'm just glad there's more people in FMA using sashes because I'm partial to those.
Oh, screw you!
But
screw
also,
you little
Inai, right? Suro Inai has sashes. I like sashes, so sometimes I wear
a bunch of wusses because you don't know how to tie a hard knot.
That's true.
Well, technically, Dosi Paras, I've implemented, like, I've taken the best of multi-system and Kakoi, and I've meshed it into, like, made it more American in style in terms of having organization and consistency. Because one thing, as you guys know, there's one, I shouldn't say this as my own people, but we need consistency. And there's no consistency in some of this.
Now, let's stop. Let's talk about this because, okay, I had someone make a comment that a newborn Filipino is more knowledgeable than me because they knew more Filipino martial arts than I did. Like, okay, whatever. It wasn't directed to me; it was directed to somebody else, but it applies to me as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I can sit there and listen, if people sit there, well, we're a better teacher because I want a Filipino. Well, why do you want a Filipino? You want culture? I can share some of the culture, not a lot, but I can share some of it. But if you want, okay, if you were born in the Philippines and you're raised there for part of your life, and you want someone that can relate to you and teach in the learning platform that you are used to, then yes, there's that cultural thing. And if that's the way you learn better, by all means. But we transplant all these martial arts to the United States. We're not teaching Asians. We're teaching America. Or if we're teaching in Europe, we're teaching Europeans. And you teach to their standards. It's not changing the art. It's changing the delivery system to make sense to the recipients.
Correct. Because Americans want order.
Mm-hmm.
We want consistency. We want professionalism. And they get discouraged. There's no organization or...
Let me ask you this right here. What percentage of Filipinos do you think didn't get an education past their 4 years in the islands because of the poverty?
It's, are we talking city? Are we talking Bukid? If you're talking city, they go up to, I don't know the answer, but,
Okay, let's put it this way. Because of the situation there, it's not that the Philippines have, I don't think the Philippines have a bad education system. I don't think everyone gets access to it because of their means. Would you say that's an accurate statement?
Yes. I mean, and it's, again, you have to pay for uniforms, and some of them can't even afford school uniforms.
If they're living in the streets, how can they afford a uniform if you're living in the streets? So the thing here is, I think the thing here is that the nice thing about America here, you get access to school no matter what your situation is, your social status. If you're willing to do the work, you can get access to it. So we're used to a certain type of education system. So I think, I don't want to say that we're professional, but we have different methodologies, and now we apply those methodologies to this craft, which I think anyone around the world would do the same. You can sit there and say, I'm going to try to keep it the same way I taught. Okay, but if you've got a better way of describing something, why not use the better way? I don't think that compromises. So Bando, like when you're doing the follow through strikes of our Arnis, if it comes from the right foot, the right shoulder, the right foot's in front. If it comes from the left foot, that's for follow through striking. And we could talk about all the body mechanics in the world. But in Bando, Dr. G said, you know why we do it, Tim? Because he asked me why I did. I told him, the reason why I do it, we do it this way, is because it's a safety cutter strike. It clears the path of the weapon to travel. Once I heard that, it was so much easier for me to use that description on why we do the same movement. It's like, so you don't hit yourself. Well, that makes sense. If I talk about better body mechanics to kids, I got 5-year-olds that know why we step the way we do. Now, they're not great at it, but I mean, the thing here, and then I applied the same thing when I do backwards or a kotegesh. I step backwards. Why? So the body doesn't fall on me. They can relate to stuff like that. It's just putting it, doesn't change the quality or the concept. It just, maybe just a different label. Here's one of our friends. Why don't you read this one right here?
Sure. Oh, Rocky. Hey, Rocky. Hey, Ty, for what it's worth it, I'm partial to the Sash too because of the Indonesian connection and my personal Wing Chun Do training. Awesome. Yep. See, there's another one. There's now 2 styles and 2 people. There you go.
You guys are all stupid. You wusses. Okay. And listen, for the record, and Craig Mason from Canada says, Rocky is from the Metro Detroit area. I'm just going to point out in the back behind Carlos, you'll see Juni Cañete and Don Cuesta wearing belts, not sashes. Screw you all. Boom. Boom.
Yeah, but church wear sashes. Well, back then.
Okay, so so your sister beat the crap out of you and told you how to get into it.
She was helping.
She was helping.
Yeah,
That's what family does. Listen, here's the rule. I'm teaching kids all the time. Hey, Miguel Ruby from FMA
nice.
Supply says hello on the West Coast.
Hey, buddy.
So here's what I'm always saying. Family, I'm teaching the kids. I go, you and your brother fight? Yeah, that's okay. And the parents look at me and go, but no one's allowed to touch the family. So family, my sister and I, we used to fight all the time. But anyone touched me, she was there. Anyone touched her, I was there. I don't like my sister, but no one, the only person that had permission to slap my sister was me. She was just as big as me. I mean, she could lay a whooping. Okay, for the record, oh, shut up, Sam.
See, we're creating diversion. Yes.
Oh my goodness, you guys are killing me. All right, so
here we are. May de Leon.
¿Cómo está acá from Manila? I told you we
Magandang umaga over there.
Magandang umaga, yeah. So now your island is north of Cebu, right? GM Carlos?
Yeah. So I was born in, excuse me. I was born in Cebu City in Chungma Hospital.
Okay.
So my dad's Cebuano. My mom is from Masbate.
That's what it was. Okay.
Just north of Cebu. So I get my Masbateño and my Cebuano and my Tagalog all mixed up like halo halo. So when we came to this country, my mom said, only respond in English, because she thought back then it would really confuse us, with our cultures. But now she regrets it. Okay. That was the old school mindset back then. But now, today, everyone's like, no, you got to keep speaking. I mean, I speak, I understand, 90% of what's spoken. I speak about 35-40% of our dialect, because it gets all, we call it baliktad, like all screwed up. And halo, because I'm dealing with Bicol, Masbate, Cebu, Tagalog, but it's all good. I can understand.
Well, Rocky said we should go to thongs. Thongs, yeah. He said, but nice. Double T didn't go over very well. And then Kurt from Homer, Alaska says hello.
That's the real West Coast.
Yeah. So, all right. So we talked a little about you. We talked about how you got into it, and you learned the craft here in North America, and you studied with the elite, which is great. That's like Ty and I. We both started second gen underneath somebody else who was a direct student of Remy. Then we got passed up one way or another. So we both ended up going right with Remy. My Balintawak Manong Ted Buat. And the fun, here's the cool thing, guys. Okay, so Remy Praces, the last art he trained with before forming Modern Arnis, was Balintawak Eskrima. For those who don't know it, Balintawak Eskrima was part of Doce Pares. It was the older style back pre-World War II, taught to Anchan Bacan by the Saavedras. After World War II, they decided to reform the club, but the Saavedras were killed during the war. Anchan, for whatever reason, we'll just go this way, decided to do his own thing. And he formed a Balintawak School of Self-Defense because that was the name of the street.
The very small street.
Very small street, very small dojo. It was only like 3 by 6 feet. Right. So when I started doing Balintawak, Remy opened the door for me to do this and encouraged me to do this. I got to see where a lot of our material came from. But the cool thing was, then I went to see Kakoy Kinete the second time. And then I found one of our disarms, our very first disarm, the number one disarm, the lever, as I refer to it. Kakoy did it. So here I found a technique that went back 2 generations. It was like Lapu Lapu. I found like Alex Haley. Kunta Kinte, I found Lapu Lapu. So it was cool to see
the connection.
My Modern Arnis disarm was the same as in my Balintawak, which is probably where Remy got it from. And then I hung out with Kakoy, and Kakoy did the same thing, which is probably where it all came from Doce Pares anyways. Now, the expression of Doce Pares and Balintawak don't look anything alike because they were, well, I mean, it's a multi-style system. and people taught it different ways. And Anshan was taught to be a fighter, not a competitor. And but when you look at a lot of this, they do a lot of stick and dagger and Doce Pares. Well, evidently, Anshan Bakan was a jerk and would stab people with his daggers. And the Saavedras took the knife away. So the technique started changing. Instead of hooking with a knife, it became hooking with a hand. And that's probably the day that Balintawak began its evolution, because without the tool, it's still different, but each group went in its own direction because they had a new head of head of the table. And of course, they're going to do their own flair. Now, Doce Pares players are also the ones that are notorious for, they were the ones that created WEKAF, right?
Well, majority, yes, through Uncle Johnny. He really spearheaded that back in the mid '80s. I was fortunate to be able to participate in the first WEKAF in the Philippines. We brought a team over there, and that was really historical. And that was the first time that they've actually seen a group synchronized form, and that really blew them away. It was, and then the Filipinos, they're like, okay, we're going to copy that and we're going to make that better.
Right.
So it's always us and them.
Nice.
We know how that works.
That's just a compliment, though.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
WEKAF really is now, it's not just, Doce Pares, because we have different, organizations that come into it now currently, but it was predominantly Doce Pares. But now we have different systems that come in.
Yes. I mean, it is a non-dominational organization.
Yeah.
They open up and they welcome everybody. I mean, is WEKAF Doce Pares centric? Of course it is. But I've brought people, I've had fighters go in there and they were never discriminated against.
Correct.
So they welcome all. Anyone who's interested in stick fighting as a sport, they want to work with you. Correct. So that's a cool thing, So,
and the cool thing now, WEKAF, it's not even, these are not Doce Pares. I mean, they're Doce Pares, but just different systems from north, central to south, merging together as Team Philippines.
Right.
With the help of our Senate President, Zubiri. So he's really been a key figure in unifying and promoting and bringing all systems together to making PCAF, which is the Philippine team, which is also under WEKAF. So WEKAF is the world. Each country has a representation. So I am the USA. Then in the Philippines, you have the PCAF, which is the Philippine team. But thank God for Zubir. He's the one that really pushing that. And that's when we got that involved to the SEA Games. Because as you guys know, getting systems together, like, no, I'm not going to support that because we're this. We're not going to support that because with it. No, there's a merging of a style of sparring. You're not taken away from your system, but you come together as FMA, as brothers and sisters, to fight a certain way in promoting this FMA style through the WEKAF and the Philippine team. And that's why, like in the Philippine team, it consists of many systems. And they represent Team Philippines when we compete. Like this game coming up, Cambodia, which is the SEA Games. You have the PCAF representation that will be representing that group, and they're not.
Has that location been confirmed? I know we were talking about it at the time.
Yeah, they are gonna have representation in the SEA Games in Cambodia.
So the SEA Games will be held in Cambodia?
Yes.
All right. So yeah, and I guess I'm going to that. GM Carlos is converting me, and he's trying. Well, I mean, listen, I used to be very active with WEKAF Canada because the late master Rudy Casico.
Okay, yeah.
He was the Canadian director. So wow. I was a big part of what, like, you probably have heard of Laura Holmes.
Yes.
She was a student of Rudy.
Oh, okay, yes.
So,
is she? Was she? I mean, do you keep in contact or anything, or no? No. Okay.
No. The last time I saw her was where was it? Italy,
Oh, okay.
when they did the GSBA tournament there.
Yeah, I was there too. Mhm.
You in Rome?
Yes.
I was there.
Oh, yeah. I was.
And
What was that? Yeah, GSBA. I didn't go to that one.
I taught at the Defense Lab event days before it, and then I went over. Then it was funny. I hate politics.
Yeah.
So they have protocols at GSBA. Go, well, you had to have been this, that, or the other thing. I'm talking to Tom Sip, and I go, listen, if you need help reffing, let me know. And he was all set to put me in, and then all of a sudden, someone started giving me grief about it, and the person we were discussing, and the whole thing was because I hadn't done stuff. Well, this was like the second GSBA event ever, like, or even at the first GSBA. None of the people who were there had ever competed in a GSBA event because it was the first one, but they were thrown in. And this is the thing I always got. I get a little tweaked about when you have a qualified person. I've run tournament. I've run over 20 tournaments of my own, let alone I'm brought in. I fix tournaments all the time. And I'm talking Filipino martial art tournaments, not karate tournaments. You've got a qualified person who's done more than most of the coaches that are there, but they won't put you in because you didn't go to a certain event. I'm like, really? And then, of course, one of the Italian officials got kicked out because they were cheating. I'm like, okay, here you got a non-partial guy, because I did have a fighter there, Mark Basil. Mark Basil asked me to coach him since I was there, but one person on the U.S. team, which I helped coach him to victory. Yay, got a bronze medal. Didn't do too bad. But the thing here is, they were a day and a half behind at the tournament, and like all they would have needed is one more referee who'd be willing to sit down and do things. But no, he hasn't gone through all the certification. I'm like, really? And it's not like I'm some ham and egger. People knew who I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my rant. There's my rant.
Another rant.
I'm allowed multiple rants.
Now, when you see, it's different now. It is very, very professional. Like the 2019 SEA Games in the Philippines, it was very professional. The judges and the referees all wore they all went through the proper training. So we weren't pulling instructors or competitors to judge, like before the good old days. Where like, hey, are you doing anything? No, but I have to fight in 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Well, come over here and judge this round for a second.
Right.
Not like that now.
Right.
It is, it is totally like very like legit and professional, and I'm very proud to say that we're stepping into that level of consistency and professionalism. Because remember, after two games back to back at SEA Games, then we go to the Pan Asian Games, and then that qualifies us for, God willing, for the Olympics. So we have to get our crap together. We have to look professional. We have to look consistent. We have to be consistent with how we judge. There has to be, certain protocols of the way we enter, the way we score, the way we judge. It's like watching, like a legit world championship taekwondo tournament or something, where you sort of certain way, we're not wearing flip-flops. You know what I mean? We're not having our legs spread wide open. We're not drinking as we're scoring. No, it's very legit and very professional. And I'm very proud to say that, we've taken it to that level of professionalism.
So I didn't know about the drinking portion. I would have signed up a long time ago. No,
I was gonna say, he's just the one he said that we're not. I was thinking that sounds like an interesting, fun tournament too. The one.
Listen, I don't know anything about this comment, so I'm going to share it. Wasn't there a famous challenge between Jim Cañete and Jim Bacon?
Of course, I can't say because I wasn't there, but as you guys know, it's like the Wild West, in the Philippines back then, and
everywhere.
yeah. So I'm happy that we've gone out of that, and now we're living in a world where we don't need to do that. We need to just respect each other, and they did their number, and so
Okay.
I don't know what took place, but I mean, of
So-
course I've heard of those things, but yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into it. The topic, we talked a little about you and how we got here. So let's I mean, all systems were go pre-COVID. Everyone was doing their thing. You had GSBA, and you had WEKAF going. I personally had made comments to the GSBAers because I had friends on both sides. When there was a split for whatever reason, we're not going to get into that. I sat there and I go, why don't you do every other year? Why does it have to be the same year? Because you don't have to work together, but if it's always the same years, then people have to make a choice based on money and time. If you could have done like a world championship in 99 and another one in 2000, or in this case, 2023 is 1 year, 2024 is the next. But they did what they did, and and the organization survived. What happened during COVID?
Excuse me. Well, everything shut down. So our world championship was, eliminated or canceled. And
So it was during the shutdown. It was scheduled to be part of that.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that was shut down. And even this last tournament that we had past July, we just barely got the venue, so everything was still crazy in the Philippines.
Wow.
Even today, I think it's still,
Yeah, and
they're a year behind with their COVID stuff. But anyway, bottom line, I mean, I get it. It's just, again, politics. But so that really did a number with, but I think the good things about that came out of it was the virtual and, coming together virtually. I mean, they try to have a tournament, but that was really pitiful, because their wife good, and the forums would shut, pause, and that didn't work out very well. But at least they tried.
Hey, here we go. Here we got someone. Grandmaster Unyo.
Awesome.
Great to see you guys again. Greetings from Olongapo City in the Philippines. Pugay Datu Tim and PG Tai and Master Carlos. Look at that. Grandmaster Unyo from Lanada Cuntao.
Yeah. Magandang umaga.
Good evening. Good morning.
Yeah. I knew we were going to get some more people from the islands. We always get a few.
Yep.
Yes.
Grandmaster Unyo is a regular on the show, watching and commenting, which is great. Mm-hmm. We got to get him on the show. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Grandmaster Unyo. I've had Renee Tungsten on the show, so we have to have him back as well. So they tried to do the virtual forms competition. That went because let's put it this way: if you're doing it in the Philippines, if you haven't been in the Philippines, they have a lot of gray out or brownouts.
Yes.
And always affects the internet.
Right.
And Jeffrey, how you doing, sir? So have we done a physical one since COVID?
Yes, of course. We, like I said, we had one in July, the WEKAF championship.
And that was where?
In Cebu.
It was in Cebu. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Cebu. That was actually a very organized. I mean, I thought it was very professionally run. Again, we had a good friend of mine, and Antonio Lucero, my West Coast director. He pretty much ran the show with his expertise in organizing the computers and the bracketing and all that. So again, we've got the resources, but the Philippine team, they were just on point.
Awesome.
That's what they do. They eat, sleep, breathe this stuff. I mean, we got our ass kicked in the padded language.
Well, in the padded, but
in the pad. However, we when it came to the live, because remember, PCAF, I mean, they do live stick, but they really focus on the padded because that's their thing.
Okay.
But us Dosipares, we like the live stick. When it came to the live stick part, we did very well. In fact, we got a great compliment from the head coach. He complimented our team and said, "How is it that your competitors are like winning my team?" You know, because we really train our students not only hard hitting, but the cardiovascular. Remember, this is 3 1-minute rounds.
Yep.
So the first minute, everyone looks the same. Second minute,
Yep.
you know, someone's getting tired. Third minute, now you know who's in and who's out. And we were just spanking at that point. So I can honestly say that we did really well in the live stick part. Padded stick, different story. We got to learn their system,
Sure.
you know. But that's something.
Their sticks are too whippy.
It's padded. What do you expect?
Well, there's a lot of good padded sticks out there. Theirs is just cheap.
It's like in anything, you know, whatever the thing that you're playing, you have to be tuned for.
Yes.
So,
and
okay.
our style of padded stick, you know, is slightly different from the PCAF style. So, but I think that's where they're going with more of that, the PCAF style of padded stick. Live stick, straightly PCAF influence.
Yeah, I think there's too much armor in PCAF, or the padded stick. I remember the first time I went there, or I was talking to Renee, and he pulls out all this stuff. I'm like, now, one of our guys who's on the show, he fights Dog Brothers.
Oh no, it's different. Yeah, no.
So I mean, I use the Action Flex stick, and you know what? They'll leave a mark on you, but we just use helmet and gloves, cup, you know, and you could actually disarm with these sticks. They're that firm, you know. And Ty's used them a whole bunch of times, and you know, actually one of the times at his gathering, I ended up doing backyard fighting with no gear. I forgot what that was like.
Yep.
Got a couple good zingers in on me. I'm like, I gave it back. It's like, haven't done this in a while. Boom. Oh yeah, I should have. Yeah, there's my knuckle.
No, I agree with you, sir, because you know, like the way the old PCAF, I mean, the WEKAF style of padded stick is not anywhere near like PCAF style. I mean, PCAF is you just nip him and they would call the point. I'm like, wait, what? Because back in our days, you had to hit like it had to be like a thud hit.
So
not just like
with
point karate, you know, like
right.
I mean, well, I'm sorry, point system, you don't make contact, but you know, light contact. But in the PCAP, I think that that's the only problem that I have with it. But say
no, the contact level is way too light. We when we do, I mean, because you could say point, you could say blade rules. So basically, everybody out there that hears people say blade rules, they really just don't want to say point fighting because they want to sound tougher. So, but because really that's what it is. There's no difference between blade rules and point fighting. It's the same damn thing. But the thing is, like when we do our stuff, like with the kids, we'll let it. We'll okay if it's a nick, we'll let that count because it's children. You know, I got 4-year-olds competing in it, so I mean, we don't want to like knock people out, but you know, generally speaking, we want a solid shot.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And we don't do a complex point system. It's real simple. Headshot is 2 points, 1 point everywhere else. If I drop my stick, my opponent gets a point. If they disarm me, they get 2 because why should they be rewarded so high if I hit them and I drop my stick? That's not a disarm. Also, we don't do things like automatic losing the round. That's just a point deduction. And I've seen that we've competed. Oh yeah, I've competed in this one tournament. One guy at the Arnold Classic, they were doing WEKAF with kicks, basically.
Oh.
And so my guy destroys his opponent. The last 10 seconds, he drops the stick. Mathematically, he could not lose. They gave it to the other guy because he dropped the stick. I'm like, he wouldn't have made it out of the first round if it was a real fight. I mean, he's kicked him, he sticked him, he did all this other stuff. I go, so they gave the round to the guy, and then they did the point deduction on top. I'm like, wait a minute. No, you guys have no clue what you're doing. That's the problem with the martial art world. Everyone's got these ideas. I've had people when I sit there and say stick drop is only 1 point, and then they're like, "What do you mean it's only 1 point?" I go, "If you hit me and you had a bad grip, should that be 2 points or 1? Or like if I disarm you, I should get more points for that." And the thing here is, it's still just like a boxing. It's a point deduction. It doesn't it takes points away from the round. It doesn't change the results of the round. You shouldn't just sit there and say, nope, this guy loses automatically because he dropped the stick or was disarmed once. I go, what about the two rounds before that when the guy would have been dead?
Yeah.
Oh, someone's barking. Ty, you do the thing. I got to take care of my thing here.
Sure. So we were talking about a fair bit about these kind of tournaments and stuff like that. Is what have you found that is probably the most illustrative or maybe the most encouraging for your students about these things?
I just think that competition in general just puts the student at a different level. It makes them better. Regarding their forms competition, it just makes them more artistic, and the way they use their hand, being able to use the weapon with more mastery. So it really builds their confidence. In the sparring aspect, the live stick, it really builds their cardiovascular, and it toughens them up because these are live sticks. Getting smacked in the head and the hand,
and you're hitting and hitting, right?
No, not necessarily. I mean, yes,
okay.
Like boxing, the most number of hits, most points, it wins. But overall, I just think competition is good. Just because it just makes them better. It makes them have a better appreciation with the art and the sport aspect, of course.
It probably brings some focus to their training, right? Because of that.
Yeah, it creates team. It builds team camaraderie. And it really builds their confidence. So that's why I encourage competition. Now, of course, each tournament, each styles and systems have their own way of scoring. And then that's fine. Not everyone's going to appreciate the Dog Brothers. Not everyone's going to appreciate the WEKAF stuff. Not everyone's going to appreciate the PCAF style thing. But those who do appreciate it, it's what they do. Not everyone's going to appreciate those things, but it's what you like. And if that's what you like, then you have that community of people. But for us, I'd like to think that we're hopefully taking it to a more of an international approach, just like in Taekwondo in the Olympics.
Right.
There's so many systems, of Taekwondo, but the WTF system, their scoring is what they use in the Olympics. So if we, as FMA, are going to push towards an Olympic style world or community, we all, as different systems and styles, ultimately have to say, hey, look, I want to go to that style of level of competing. We have to follow the rules, So Dog Brothers may like, hell no, I'm not going to do that. That's okay. It wasn't meant.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But if you want to take it to that level, so ITF, I'm ITF, right? And I'm not WT, or back then we're called WTF, now they're called WT.
Right.
So I could never do the Olympics because I don't follow the rules.
Right.
So we, ITF, could never be in that stage. You know what I mean? Because we don't follow the rules. Because we like to kick and punch, because that's what Taekwondo is. Tai is, kick, smash with the foot, Kwan, hand, punch, destroy. Do means way. But WT is, their hands are down, they're kicking. Yeah, they punch, but it's not like what we do. So if you look at an ITF tournament, it's like kickboxing, kick, punch, pow, pow, pow. If you look at a W tournament, it's predominantly, hands down, the kick, 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 kick. So we don't compete in the Olympics because we don't want to follow the rules. So if you have an Eskrima that wants to possibly go to the Olympics, ultimately they're going to have to follow that game. And if they don't, hey, it's not your cup of tea. It's all good.
Right. Well, let me add a follow-up question, if you don't mind. So I know I personally love to hear connections and stories and stuff like that. So I was wondering, along those lines, have you got any favorite stories about your students or you from these types of competitions? Things that have happened, things, successes, or just funny, anything along those lines. Because I'm sure you do.
There's too many. You're asking me questions about some of the memorable, funny, crazy moments.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Don't laugh. So in the world tournament, in 91, 92, whatever. And it's just, so this is first time Team USA is going to a WEKAF championship. So it's me, my brother, who's now a priest, by the way,
Oh, wow.
Father Leo. This guy's amazing. But anyway, so we got this kick-ass group form. It just blew everybody. So I do this move where I'm about to take off to do this flying kick, right? Because it's a group form. It's creative. So as I do this takeoff, I slip. My foot flies under me, and I do like this slide across the floor. People think I'm like doing this Michael Jackson slide and off my feet. They never knew that I actually slipped, right?
Wow.
And people were like, "Ah!" I'm like, "Wow!" They thought that was part of the group form, And I'm like, "Okay, I'll keep it." But it was a slide. That was memorable. My brother, okay, this guy again, like, he's a Roman Catholic priest, okay. This guy is a grim. But prior to that, here we are. He's competing. This boy is hitting so hard that he's breaking. He broke 3 sticks in his opponent. All right, in one round, he's like, pop, 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 break. Give me another stick. Pop, 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 break. Give me another stick. And I'm thinking, my gosh, what's going to happen if he goes to confession and these people say, "Bless me, Father, for I've sinned." What did you do?
There you go. Right.
25 push-ups or something.
Nice.
No, I'm joking, of course, but he's a great guy, of course.
That's cool.
Another story, but yeah,
you never know, what people do outside of this. That's one of the things I love about martial arts is that you have all these people from different backgrounds and they're coming together about this one interest.
Let me tell you a quick story if you don't mind.
Sure.
The Vatican. He's a Roman graduate from the North American Pontifical College. It's called the NAP. And you just don't go there. The people that are studying to go in the Vatican they're super smart. He graduated with a summa cum laude in the Vatican. So when he trained, he worked out with the Swiss guards. So when the Swiss guards, when a priest walks by, they do a certain salute. When a bishop walks by, the Swiss guards do. When my brother walks by, they do this funky salute because he's down with us Swiss guard. But he's so super cool. You got to check him out, Father Leo. You may have him in the show.
You never know.
You got it.
Here we go. Fars Extremes, Pool Noodles versus Rebar. Okay, yeah. Here we go. Renee finally says, yo. I was waiting for Renee there. Then we got very true, GM Carlos. We need to develop mass appeal. Yep. And then being an old Taekwondo fighter back in the 70s, ITF was more realistic fighting versus WTF. It's funny too because your Taekwondo is point and your stick is continuous.
Actually,
it's just kind of
yeah.
Versus, but
yeah, right.
Like, well, wait a minute, you should know how to do this part. But that, it's all right. So let's get into some other things here. So, because we're getting at that point, so I want to make sure we have time to discuss certain things here. So, what is the future for, if not WEKAF as a global organization, what plans do you have coming up for this year?
Well,
for the near future.
Yeah, we have something in the works right now, hoping cross the finger we find a venue because we're having a hard time finding our venue. I'm promoting a tournament, well, God willing, if you find this venue, a Goodwill Championship in Vegas coming up, hopefully July, sometime mid-July. I've got some of it's a unification thing, trying to get the brothers back. So when I first met Datu Hartman, he told me he was going to. I said, "No, man, we're Gao, we're cousins." You know what I mean? So in Cebu we say Gao, right? If you're cousins. So I spoke with I don't know if I told you, but I had a great conversation with GM Tom Sippin about we had a great talk, an hour talk, and it's like, yeah, I was going to support this Goodwill Championship. The Kakoi guys from all over the U.S. are going to try to support that and bringing the Juni Cañete family and the Kakoi Cañete families together, and that's what I've been working on. All right, unifying just the brothers and the sisters and the cousins together, and just a Goodwill Championship. It's going to be a single stick and a padded stick and a forms, and then I'm thinking having a 2-day event, and the next day would be more of like a convention style seminar session where we would invite specialties like Also, PCAF will be coming. You know, once I get this venue, and I'll have my brochure out. And you know.
So why Vegas?
Because what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, bro.
But you don't want it to stay in Vegas.
That's right. Yeah, you want it.
You know, because I think it's a great opportunity to, you know, it's a great place. You know.
Well, I know, but I mean, listen,
I want to have dinners. I want to sit down with my brothers and have a good time.
Yeah, but you could do that. I mean, here's the thing: is you could do that anywhere, and okay, so I am a Maya member. I'm a Maya Elite member, and they just recently got rid of their Vegas convention, or it's on hold because they're still recovering from COVID and people going. Personally, I never liked Vegas because, you know, especially when you look at schools these days, what percentage of them are kids, minors? There was a part. Okay, so the owner of Century, Mr. Dillard, couldn't get his son into one of the events because he was a minor.
Oh yeah.
He flipped hundreds of thousands of dollars and he couldn't get the guy through the door. So, you know, the thing is, when you're, you know, we just did the conference in Orlando just a couple days ago, and they had people. The youngest person in attendance was 13 years old. Vegas is not.
I mean, we were thinking of, you know, hotel, what do they call this, a venue with the rooms, or if not, we'll find something. But
you guys got your, why not do it in your area? I mean, here's the thing: if you're going to be the host of this, I'm not trying to say don't do it in Vegas. What I'm saying is, with where you're at and the manpower you have, why not do it in your area? Couldn't you find a venue by you?
We could. I just think that when I spoke to Gerald Cañete in Cebu, he was really excited about having it in Vegas.
Yeah, but okay, I'm going to make a racist wait, listen. There's a racial factor in everything.
Uh-oh.
Okay, there's a racial factor in everything. Do you really want the Filipinos in the casinos? Listen, I can tell you stories about Remy prices. I can tell you stories about Ernesto prices. I can tell you stories about a whole bunch of other people. I understand the Filipinos love to gamble, and it's not racist if it's true. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're right.
Okay, enough said. Okay, so Rick Manglanong hosted Ernesto when we weren't training. Where was he? He was in Ernesto was in the casinos. Remy Trump, I think, was going to name a friggin' room after him because of how much money he spent there. You know, but I mean, come on. I mean, really? Let's see what happens this week. Okay, so let me just get caught up in here on this. Fartlek of the Wind, WTF uniforms are like dresses. Okay, yeah, okay. Fila's new uniform looks like spandex. Gotcha. Renee, question for GM Carlos. Who do you like better, Tim or Ty? Okay, screw you, Renee. And about the event, okay, yeah, right. We're not going to talk to Renee anymore. What do you mean, you people? You know exactly what I'm saying here. We need judges where there are baccarat table. Oh yeah. How are you gonna have judges if they're at the roulette or the craps table? That's all I'm gonna tell you there. Datu, you have to keep the grandmasters happy. Yeah. There's other ways to keep the grandmasters happy. Bring them the girlfriends. No, listen. I know it's cliche-ish, you know, but I mean, I understand. But if you want a good event, this is from an event promoter who does these things all the time. At the end of the day, you want a good quality event. You know, I remember when was it Tom, or maybe it wasn't Tom? Maybe it was Rudy Casico, and we were talking, and he's like, he didn't want to go to the one Florida tournament. The World Championships were down in Orlando at Disney. He goes, he had his biggest challenge was keeping the kids off of Space Mountain. I mean, because they all were thinking about Disney, they weren't thinking about competing.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Well, I mean, so and let's think about this. How many people are going to be thinking about Vegas? I do an event in Barbados. And before the event started, because it's all-inclusive hotel, which means all you can eat and wait for it, drink. I had to tell a bunch of grown-ass adults that because I was part of the staff, that paid their asses to be there. And I'm like, and I had to sit there and say, your drinking doesn't begin until our teaching responsibilities are over. And I didn't mean they couldn't have a drink.
Right.
But the person said, the people were asking about the drinking. They weren't asking about the teaching. I'm like, really? And it was a Kempo event, a Kempo centric, and Kempo guys, they drink a lot.
That's a good point, though. You got a good point.
I mean, just there's and like I said, there's a lot of distractions on the strip. Okay. And I'm just saying personally, okay, so like if you did something on the East Coast and the dates lined up, I would bring people to that. Because I would do, like, if you're doing padded, I would bring a couple fighters for that. You go in Vegas, I'm not going. I'm not bringing people to Vegas. And this is not an ultimatum. I might go. I might be there.
The Senate president might be there.
I'll be there, but my people won't be there because at the end of the day, it's like, it's just, I who knows? I might have people that would be willing to go that, but I mean, also, if it's this July, that's awful short notice.
Well, that's the thing. We got to get this.
Because, and here's the challenge. I like you said, let's say you pull the trigger for July. I'll be in Austria. Nothing personal. Just getting paid to go to Austria or losing money in Vegas. So, because actually I go to the Mayan convention, which is at the U.S. Open this year. Okay. Then I come home. On the 4th of July, I hop on a plane to Austria. And then you've got, there's so much stuff going on with such a short notice. And, the Filipinos, or if you're going to get, is this going to be a U.S. thing or a world thing?
Well, I'm opening it up to the Goodwill Championship. So right now, I spoke to Gerald. He said we could have a team there, like 20 to 30 people.
Wow.
And the thing is, they have the backing of the Philippine government.
Okay.
You get it?
Well, we got to. Okay, so, having. And they do have more of a push there because some athletes in other groups can't get sponsorship because they take off. But here we go. I'm going to use an example here. Ty, why don't you read this one for me?
Oh, from Renee. There you go. There's a venue called the Bunny Ranch. Check for availability.
But that's my point. I mean,
distractions.
And listen, and Renee, you're my brother from another mother. I love you. But I mean, this is what I'm talking about. People think about the booze. They think about the gambling. They think about the women. Here we go. We can get working girls to keep score.
There we go.
There probably know the numbers better than anyone else. But, there we go.
Yeah, they come
on Bobby. Bobby Ladra says hello.
Bobby Pare.
My 3 pare.
He's a
we'll
very
watch the rest later.
Of him.
Yeah. Yep. I like Bobby.
Yep.
For some reason he likes me. I don't know why. He's got no taste. So I'm a logistics guy. That's what I think about. Okay. Oh, here we go. The Bunny Ranch is near Reno. The Chicken Ranch is 45 miles away. And I'm not even going to get into how he knows all these things.
Right.
And then the casinos.
Called the Vatican. Okay.
Vatican, yep. And then here we go. Don't forget ganja is legal.
So Texas in the house right here.
It's legal in a lot of states. New York, of all places, it's legal in New York.
See, but that's Filipinos, though. We hit and we party and we hit again and we party.
You can party all. Do you need Here's the thing. Do you need a casino to party? Listen, I went out all nights of the week. I didn't need an excuse. Just like, let's go out New Year's Eve. That's amateur hour. If I would go out on a Tuesday, I would go out on a Monday. I would go out 7 nights a week with guys and just having a great time because I didn't need an excuse. We were the party. Boom. Okay. Here we go. Oh, what's this?
Oh, wow.
Vegas is booked 2 years out most places. Okay.
He's probably not wrong.
The devil's grass is legal everywhere. Yep. Yeah, I personally, I would think, to me, I would actually build up, do something in your area, then do another one bigger and elsewhere, and then do another one even bigger. But I mean, that's just my suggestion. I mean, I think if you're going to do something this calendar year, I think you'd be better off in a local venue, build it, and then, make it bigger. I mean, I get it. You got the option to bring the Filipinos in, but I think you still need to have that venue almost like tomorrow,
Right. Yep.
to be able to pull the trigger for something that's.
And that's what we were talking, because God forbid, if anything, we'll have to postpone till next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of logistics. We understand.
All right. Renee, this has come to Canada.
There you go.
Canadians don't support events, right, Renee? The only people that supported, Renee had his group. He goes, "Oh, Modern East Community supports me." No. There's 3 different Modern East groups in your area, none of which supported you. It was me and my guys that would come up and support you. Find a local college. Yep, Dallas. Sweeting's in Dallas at the moment. All right, cool.
Maybe he's offering Dallas for the event.
Oh, maybe that's it. So, not allowed to travel. Okay.
Just Renee, not anybody else.
Just Renee, yeah. All right. Well, so we'll definitely keep us in the loop on what you're going with that, because we'll definitely have you back on the show and help promote that.
Thank you.
Anything else that's coming up big?
Well, like I said, we have, God willing, this thing come up in July. Second thing is the SEA Games, hopefully in Cambodia, then next after that, then we've got the World Championship next year in Cebu for the WEKAF.
Okay.
All right. So we got a lot of things going on.
Oh, here we go. Yep. And then Dexter says, "How about Atlantic City?"
Right.
There's a compromise.
There are venues like that with gambling in Maryland too.
Actually, yeah. Everything airport is 20 minutes away. Yep. Boom. July is 3 months away. Yeah. So it's makes it hard, difficult. Yeah.
Cutting.
All right. So let's. Hey, are any of them with you today?
I'm sorry.
Are you there alone?
I'm looking through my security thing. I have like 2 students in the back.
Not students.
I know my kids are not here.
Okay. All right. So let's finish up by talking about your kids real quick.
Okay.
So tell us who your kids are.
All right. So I have 6 children, 4 boys, 2 girls, all coming from the one woman. And they're a music group. They started several years ago. In my 40th birthday party, they surprised me with a song, and they wrote a song, and next thing you know it, I was just blown away, because my son Jared was only 4 years old, and here I am with his microphone, and my oldest son wrote this song, and they're singing away, and JagMac came to fruition, and I was like, you know what? Let's start a music band. All right. Jared, it's from youngest to oldest. So JagMac is Jared, Angelique, Gabriel, Manjo, Alyssa, CJ.
Okay.
And they are Radio Disney's next big. And we toured all over the UK with a big group called Little Mix. Wow. Little Mix was is the modern day Spice Girls. We toured all over the US. We just got back last week with a huge showcase in Los Angeles, and we shocked the music industry. And after seeing them, so there's a buzz out there right now for JagMac.
Nice.
And because of the past 3 years, nothing has happened because of all the shutdowns and the lockdowns, and and so the whole industry was like pretty much frozen. But we came back very successful from that showcase, and we've got labels very interested in them, and we have an offer coming up from another major label as well. So a lot of great things. We work with A-list producers and A-list songwriters and choreographers. They write their own music, and it's a very family, positive, fun group of kids, and that's their brand. It's positive, family, fun. We had a lot of great opportunities with the producers of the Undercover Boss, the Great British Bake Off, Duck Dynasty, producers of those things, they came to my home, into my dojang, and they filmed a sizzle reel. So we might have a potential reality show with
Wow.
a bunch of music group, working in a dojang, singing in the weekends, and just the whole family dynamic. So
Wow.
but we'll see. So they were pitching it out to Netflix, Hulu, Peacock, and we'll see where this takes them. But there's a lot of great things happening for the group musically, and also in the TV world as well.
Well, that's a beautiful thing just to hear about the family and the family focus and the family getting recognized together and sharing together, doing this activity together, supporting each other. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So-
They had no choice. I said to each of them, you're going to go to church with me every Sunday, and then you're going to get your black belt. So that's after that, you can do whatever. So
Okay.
they form a music group. Okay, fine.
Wow.
So Renee asked him to open up for them. He plays a killer recorder. It's all Slipknot covers.
Nice.
All right. Huge event in Canada in November. A bunch of us are going to Turkey for hair transplants. Oh, Renee, that's pretty good. All right. And then Dexter says that's awesome. Jagmac, JAGMAC music.com. Go check them out. I met CJ.
Yes.
I met Manjo and Jared. I don't know if Gabriel was in the room. Alyssa and Angelique were in the room, but I didn't get a chance to talk to them.
No, I think no.
But CJ and Manjo tested for, I think CJ went for like a fourth degree?
Third degree. Yeah.
Okay. So that was cool.
Nice.
And they're pretty funny guys too. They don't take themselves too seriously.
Yeah.
I kept busting Manjo's chops about looking in the mirror the whole time. Like, are you always looking at yourself, or you? He goes, no, I couldn't remember the form. I'm like,
looking through the mirrors to find out everyone else is doing that.
Nice.
like I go like this. I'm like, it's like,
It was like
stop it. He's a good cook though. He did a very good. So Jared is a good bartender. And Mancho was a really good. He did a nice chicken adobo.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, I think it's the Polish side in him.
Yeah.
So I go, yeah. I was talking to CJ. He goes, yeah, we're Filipinos. I'm like, what?
Filipinos, nice.
Like, dude, that's awesome.
Nice.
So, can you play a clip? I met Tim. He wants me to
of your promo, so you can get
on my recorder.
Yeah, there you go.
It's actually a kazoo. I downgraded. So, well, listen. I had a good time. Ty, you have any final questions for our man Carlos?
No, it's a pleasure meeting you. We're practically neighbors. We should make sure we can tag up sometime.
And you are where again?
I'm in Springfield, Virginia.
Oh yeah, you like maybe like an.
So my event's in Fairfax, Virginia, here in a couple weeks. Yeah.
Okay.
And you're invited, by the way, too.
Okay.
He's in Miami that weekend. I already asked.
Okay.
Easter weekend, aren't you in Miami?
I'll be in Florida. Sorry.
Yeah.
But and always, I have 2 events of these every year, and 2 on Bobby's there a lot of times.
Okay, great. Yeah, good guy. Love him.
Yep. He had me at his last thing too. So we're it's all familia, man.
That's right. Really, seriously. There's no bickering. We put the F out of the. You know what I mean?
Family martial arts.
Yeah. We're literally like what Dr. Tim was saying. We're brothers. We're cousins from different, relatives. We just come together. Yeah, at least here in the U.S. In the Philippines, I don't know how it is. Maybe a little bit more bickering, but here I think there's more cohesive and friendly, unification and
especially across styles.
yeah.
Well, here's what I'll say, because it's regional. When you've got more distance between people, they get along better. So, like, if you're in the Bay Area, oh my God, it's not there's a lot of politics because they're all on top of each other. East Coast here, we are so spread out. And I think the problem here, as you see in the Philippines, is that everyone's in the same. I mean, you go to Luneta Park. I mean, there's like 15 groups. They're all competing for the same handful of students, and they all get, you get territorial. Think about the automotive industry and how poor it was back in the day when it came to advertising, until they finally had to change the laws to stop taking those pot shots at each other. Now they're more about talking about their own product and less about everybody else's.
True.
So, I take the Lamborghini mindset, because an acquaintance of mine had friends who worked for Lamborghini. When you talk to someone about someone from Lamborghini about their cars, they don't talk about Ferrari, they don't talk about Porsche, they talk about Lamborghini. So that's like when someone asks me about, when they're looking for a school, I go, well, what's the difference between what you do in Taekwondo? I go, listen, if it's depending on the age group, it's for little kids, it doesn't make a difference, because it's all about gross motor skills and character development. But if we're talking about this, I'm gonna keep it real simple. Taekwondo is an Olympic sport. So not that they couldn't defend themselves, but they're geared more towards the sport of Taekwondo. And we are not going to, and you could make the Olympic team, but there's only 4 people, maybe 8 if you're the host team. If you want to learn to defend yourselves, Filipino martial arts are more geared for self-defense. Both arts do both things, but one's geared more for sport and others geared more for self-defense. What are you looking for? So I try, and I sit there, we know there's good Taekwondo schools that teach really good self-defense, but there's a bunch out there that only teach, they're WT. There's World Taekwondo. It's all about the Olympics, and we're doing the cookie cutter program that works for them. And self-defense might not necessarily be part of the equation. I mean, hell, there's schools out there that don't even have people spar anymore because they lose students because of sparring. And for me, I get that. If you want to do, there's martial art, there's martial sport, there's martial combat. For me, though, if martial arts is a spear, the tip of it is about the combatives, self-defense. But if you want to do it as an art form because your body's broken and you're going more holistic, sort of like doing Tai Chi, you're not there to learn to do stuff, but it's like, hey, I still do it. So here we go, Renee. As a Spaniard, it's nice to hear the whole cousin thing, but Olympic shooting isn't self-defense shooting. No, it's not. Perfect example.
Renee, mi primo.
All right. So, hey, listen, hold on for a minute. We're going to wrap things up here, Carlos. I'm just going to take you off the screen. We're going to talk a little work here, but once again, thank you very much. KickConnection.com, everybody.
You got it.
KickConnection.com.
Nice.
All right. So real quick, guys, next week, I've got a treat. Hopefully things didn't change. John from Empty Mind Films is going to be on the show. This guy followed us around the Philippines and did Fighting Arts of the Philippines, right? Fighting Sticks, Fighting Art. But if you looked at the spine, it says Fighting Sticks of Modern Arnis. That was great.
Yep.
So let me see here. Great show as usual. Thank you.
Yes.
And
that's Renee responding to me in my poor Spanish.
Okay. So listen, so that's next week. I'll have information up tomorrow on that. This Saturday, I'm in Mount Gilead, Ohio, about 45 minutes north of Columbus. The following weekend, Easter weekend, Ty has his spring thing. By all means, hopefully you guys can go to that. And then May, we have the World Modern Race Alliance training camp. That's going to be a good one. We also have this April, we also have the FMA Invasion at the Martial Arts Symposium.
That's right.
All right. Well, listen, everybody. Ty, you got anything? Any last words?
I got nothing. I'm going to do a quick announcement for my event. Just a quick couple of words to encourage people. That'll be coming out soon on Facebook, probably.
Nice.
Yep.
All right, everybody. As always, please stay safe and stay sane. This is Datu Tim.
And PG Ty. Take care, everyone.
See you all soon.